Do you love hearing stories of hope and inspiration? Tales of real people who have made the world around them a better place?
Dylan, this is channeling Hallmark. That's kind of the point of the show.
Oh, yeah. Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 19 of Channeling Hallmark, the podcast where we talk about all the things that make us feel warm and cozy, like when you're feeling down.
Warm and cozy?
I have done that multiple times. It's not my first time.
You try to say cozy and fuzzy
yes,
and it's
warm
cozy.
And cozy.
Rewind. Go back.
Rewind. The podcast where we talk about all the things that make us feel warm and fuzzy and cozy, which we sometimes abbreviate to cuzzy. Like when you're feeling down, but then someone gives you a hug.
Aww. Is that why you've given me so many hugs this week?
So many hugs. We're your hosts, Dylan Cashbaugh.
And Keetin Markey. And today we'll be reviewing the Lacey Chabert Hallmark movie, His and Hers. And we're also talking to Jill Garelick, an executive producer and showrunner in the TV biz who has worked with Lacey on Hallmark's first ever unscripted series.
Oh, yeah. But first, let's drink some tea. Keetin, what do we have today?
Ooh. This is Good Hope Vanilla Red Tea. It's naturally caffeine-free rooibos, blended with vanilla bean and natural flavors. I'm going to hear a sip. That tastes like dessert.
Oh, that is nice.
I like that.
Yeah, that's just a nice vanilla rooibos tea. I love it.
Yeah, who needs cookies when you have Good Hope Vanilla Red Tea?
I mean, I would prefer both, but oh wait, we have both right now because we actually also have cookies because, it's warm and cozy time.
Dylan just keeps cookies in the house at all times in case, he wants to make them, which
Life is better with cookies and tea, especially when that tea is vanilla rooibos.
It's very good.
It is. It's a really nice, it tastes, we love our comforting teas here on Channeling Hallmark, and I feel like this is a great comforting tea.
Yeah, it tastes like a warm hug.
You're not just saying that because of my intro?
No, I it's just shocking, the coincidence of picking, because I just randomly picked this tea that is like a warm hug.
I mean, I seek out things in life that feel like a warm hug, even if that warm hug is in my mouth.
Okay.
Oddly enough, pretty sure that's not the first time I've said that phrase on this show.
Well, as we sip on our warm mouth hug tea, do you have any hot cocoa to share?
I do have some hot cocoa. And in many ways, this hot cocoa is a spiritual sequel to some previous hot cocoa of ours. Because if you liked Eagle Cam, just wait for Moose Cam.
I'm sorry. What?
Yep. So every year, I think starting in 2019 or so, in Sweden, there is a moose migration where they cross this river in Sweden to go to, place the better place for them in the summer, apparently. Probably, just nice summer home for them. And there are live streams of this moose migration. And it's actually multiple cameras that they're cutting around, looking for moose. And I haven't seen a moose yet on it. But I have been told that there are definitely moose that do cross here. And so I've been watching it every now and then. And I love it. It's great because it's,
You love just waiting for moose
oh my
to
God.
not show up?
Personally, I am someone that if I'm working or maybe doing some other things, I kind of do like that ambiance on the TV where we'll throw on YouTube ambiance. That was what was on earlier. That was the moose cam, yeah.
Wow.
So it's basically just lovely nature shots of trees in this river. And then, I guess sometimes there's a moose crossing. It's great.
Moose cam. I don't know. It's really hard to compete with Friends of Big Bear Eagle Cam.
Well, it doesn't have baby eagles, I guess, but
they're not
moose
babies.
Are cool, man.
I know moose are cool, but moose are scary too.
They are scary. I remember when I went camping as I don't know, probably a 20-something-year-old in Minnesota. I was told, don't worry about bears, don't worry about wolves, anything like that. Moose.
A moose will
because
F
if a
you
moose
up.
Comes, there's literally nothing you can do. They will knock over trees to get to you if they want.
Yeah, you cannot scare moose by getting bigger. They will kill you.
They are already bigger than anyone.
Anything.
They're over 1,000 pounds. They're crazy.
Anyways,
Keetin, what's your hot cocoa?
Does
it also involve a moose?
Get so moose deep. No. So my hot cocoa actually. So. This is kind of it's a Los Angeles tradition that I finally got up early enough to partake in. It's called the Breakfast Club, and it is a tradition in LA that goes back to like the 30s and 40s, I believe. And it's once a week in Los Angeles where a group of people get together and they have breakfast, and there's a speaker there usually, or there's like a really fun topic, and it's a couple hours long. It starts around 7 a.m. on Wednesday mornings. And our friend Rich, who is on our trivia team, he is on the board, and he's been inviting me for over a year now. And I finally, I'm off work this week, so I agreed to go. And then as I'm leaving my house at 6:30 a.m. on a day that I technically didn't have to work, I'm like, what am I doing? And I walk into this place, and it's at the Friendship Lodge, which is in Griffith Park. I know it's called the Friendship Lodge.
That sounds so warm and cozy.
It is the definition of a warm and cozy event. I felt like I was walking into an event that was combination of like a church gathering potluck mixed with a theater group or improv team, like just fun riff. And it was people of all different ages. Majority, I will say, were older, like probably in their 60s and 70s, and probably have been members of this place like for years. And the history there is just so cool. And it's everybody loves movies. And it felt like a warm hug. And everybody was so kind and silly and just lovely. And it was such a wonderful way to wake up in the morning with a bunch of strangers who wanted to create a community and welcome you into theirs. And I don't think I've ever experienced a place like that in Los Angeles where you immediately felt that type of welcome and silliness. And so it really, I'm hoping that we can do an episode and interview somebody who is from the Breakfast Club to kind of give some more context to it. But it truly, if you live in LA or come visit LA, buy tickets, go to the Breakfast Club. It is such a cool event, and they're the coolest people there, and everybody is so kind. And so I can't recommend it more.
It sounds great. I do have two very important follow-up questions.
Yes.
What was for breakfast, and what was the topic covered?
Okay, so breakfast, it was kind of just like my friend Kiri went with me, and we were both first timers. We went with Lily and Rich, who go there all the time. And breakfast is just kind of like a classic, hotel buffet type breakfast. It's very classic.
You got English muffins?
No, but they had biscuits.
Ooh, okay.
I made
and
they had biscuits,
right?
and gravy and coffee.
Okay,
and like
good.
I mean, it's your classic like imagine like a church breakfast, but like buffet thing. Hotel-y.
So some of
style.
our listeners and myself may not totally know what a church breakfast is like.
Oh.
At least
the community center breakfast.
Okay. Maybe,
there we go.
Also something that I've never really been to.
Okay.
So.
We're going to get you to Breakfast Club, Del.
Great.
No, but
to be clear, I have been to church. I have never been to a church that also serves breakfast. I didn't realize that was a part of church.
This is why you left the church, because your church kind of sucked and had no community part of it.
Wow.
Sorry.
Apparently that's the key to a successful religion is serve breakfast.
No, it's creating a safe community space that you want to be a part of. Anyways, I digress. The topic that was covered was Turner Classic Movie Film Festival. And we had one of the hosts from Turner Classic Movies, one of the OG hosts, talk about it. And it was just, again, so there were a lot of movie lovers specifically there, but there are often a lot of movie lovers. There are a lot of people from the industry. It just was a really, really cool time. And it just felt like there was like a no asshole rule there. And like everybody was just so silly and kind. And it didn't feel like there was any ego. And I just, again, it felt like a warm hug. And everybody introduced themselves. You put name tags on. And
we are just describing everything as a warm hug today.
I know. I mean, I really
hug.
needed them this week. This is a weird week. But yeah, no, it was a really, really lovely time. And I look forward to going again. And I look forward to bringing you there. And I look forward to talking about them with one of their experts on a later episode of Channeling Hallmark.
So do I. I also really look forward to finding out if you thought that this week's movie felt like a warm hug. Can you tell me about this week's movie?
Yeah, let me tell you about this week's movie. So, we haven't done a Hallmark movie in a little bit, so we decided to go back to our roots, and we did a Hallmark movie, specifically a Lacey Chabert Hallmark movie called His and Hers. Dana and Mark have successful careers as lawyers, a blissful marriage, and are celebrating their 7-year anniversary. All is going perfectly. Well, until they have to represent opposing clients in a public divorce between 2 reality stars. Will the conflict of the divorce case spill into their happy marriage, or will love prevail?
This 2024 Hallmark movie stars Lacey Chabert and Brennan Elliott, and focuses on something that is almost the opposite of the positivity-focused Hallmark brand, a messy divorce. But despite the tense and angry atmosphere, they still sneak a fair amount of optimism and kindness into this movie. And without spoiling too much, it does have a happy ending. So Keetin, we picked this movie because of Lacey Chabert, and she plays probably the sweetest lawyer ever, who is a key source of the positivity in this movie. So if you got into legal trouble that definitely is not a divorce, would you hire Lacey as your lawyer?
I did think Lacey was like the sweetest lawyer. But I also feel like that is why I maybe did not super connect with this movie, because I think she is too nice to be a lawyer.
Honestly, every lawyer portrayed in this movie was like the nicest lawyer
trying to do
like
the
we have
the
lawyers
right
that we are
thing.
friends with
Yes.
that I think are nice people. They are not as nice as any of the lawyers in this movie.
No, well, and also it's like when you're a lawyer, you're very cutthroat, right? Like, and you know, would I want to hire Lacey as my lawyer because I would want her to become my friend because she
Right,
became
yeah,
the girl?
exactly.
Yes. Would I hire Lacey as my lawyer expecting to win? I don't know, because technically she didn't win.
I mean,
spoiler.
Nobody won and everybody won. I don't know. I don't know how do you even define winning?
Okay, well, but that was one of my issues with this movie, because I love Lacey Chabert, and I really liked Brennan Elliott. I really liked Brennan Elliott too. I thought they were both very charming. They had very lovely chemistry, super cute. Like I was like, I totally believe their relationship. What I could not believe was that either of them were lawyers, because they were both so sweet and kind. Also, I did not believe much happened in this movie. Like, I kept being like, what is happening? Nothing's happened. It was very kind of one note, other than when those two kind of had their alone moments on screen.
Now, I don't disagree with you. I do think that the storyline of this movie did not have a lot of, plot progression, character growth, things like that. But despite that, I did really enjoy it. And I think a big part of that was a testament to Lacey and Brennan just being really fun to watch. Like their relationship was pretty adorable. Their banter was great. I really liked their traditions that they had. And I could have just spent more time just basically feeling like I'm hanging out with them. So
yeah, truly. Like the thing that, and one of the reasons we decided to pick this movie, of all of Lacey Chabert's amazing oeuvre of work, was because we were like, oh, they're defending 2 reality television stars. And on our interview of Jill is somebody who's worked in reality television for 20 years. So we're like, oh, this is kind of like a way to marry both the fact that she's worked with Lacey, she's worked in reality TV. But then when you watch it, the 2 reality TV stars are the quintessential, like, worst type of people in like just these caricatures of the worst type of reality TV stars. And so like I never wanted to root for them. I was never wanting to watch them on screen because I was annoyed with them or disgusted with them. And like, so that's what was kind of so hard, I think, to connect, because you're not rooting for any of them. You just really want to see Lacey and Elliot.
Yeah, and I will say it was kind of funny to watch this because the female of the reality TV stars was also in another movie that I watched recently, Hearts Around the Table, Josh's third serving. And she plays a teacher in that. And she's very, I mean, that's the thing is, even in this, she wasn't, frankly, I didn't think she was totally believable as a reality TV star, because she did have like a kind of kindness and sweetness that didn't really feel right for at least the character that was being portrayed here. And she, in the Hearts Around the Table movie, is full on just, I mean, she's like the kindest, sweetest teacher there is.
But
So.
whoever played her husband,
Oh, he was believable.
He was
very believable in that
I was
role.
like, if this guy says CrossFit one more time, I'm gonna turn off the TV. It was like Spencer, like Pratt on crack. Like that is the character he played, and I like watching Spencer Pratt. Kind of is hilarious sometimes to watch, but this guy was the worst.
I only know Spencer Pratt from Gotta Get Out, so I actually don't know.
It was Tom Sandoval mixed with Spencer Pratt. Oh my God,
no,
that's what this guy portrayed.
This man did not have the charm of Tom Sandoval.
Oh,
that
I
is
cannot
not
believe
true.
you just called Tom Sandoval charming.
Have you seen Traitors season 3?
I have seen Traitors, but he is not charming.
No, it's not. Sorry, it's not like a charming. It's a no. It is kind of. It's a goofiness. It's a. I like to think that he's in on the joke.
You are gonna get so much hate right now for like ever defending Tom Sandoval.
I'm sorry. He is having a resurgence because of Traitors season 3. I don't know. I've literally not seen him in anything else, but he is hilarious in Traitors season 3.
Because he's the butt of anyway.
Yeah, because he's the butt of the joke. But I think he's in on that joke.
No,
I don't know.
He's not. He's not in on the joke.
Keetin, can you sing some things backwards for us right now?
No, I can't. And that was probably the most impressive thing that I've ever seen him do. But
anyways, his and hers.
Yes.
So I guess the other thing that I do want to talk about in this movie is, I don't know, I feel like there are a lot of Hallmark movies that feel, sorry, this is my cinematography nerd coming out a little bit. There's a lot of Hallmark movies that feel a little like, I don't know, like lower budget, like this isn't really the right term anymore, but what I would usually call like video style, where it just feels a little like, oh, there's just not as much interest in the frame. And I do think that this one actually, there are some that just do a great job of really like, every shot feels like it has that warm and cozy Hallmark vibe. And I really noticed that in this movie, where it felt like I was just constantly in this warm, cozy world with these characters. And I really acknowledge that a big part of that is both the cinematography, but also the set design. I think those two things also did a great job here.
Wow. You're really diving deep into this Hallmark film.
Yeah. I don't know if you know this. I'm a little bit of a Hallmark nerd.
I know you are.
See, and I guess that's another, that'll circle me back to Lacey here, because I think one thing that this movie shows that is the reason why she is so successful in Hallmark movies is she has chemistry with everyone.
Yes.
It does not matter who is playing opposite her. She makes it work. And I think that is such an impressive skill that I don't know anyone else that has. I feel like so many traditional Hollywood stars and things need the right co-star to have a really believable relationship. So there's plenty of times when, Emma Stone is very charming, but, I just don't believe the relationship she has with that other person. Lacey, I believe it every time.
No, I have no notes for
Sorry,
Lacey.
I don't want to. Am I going to get hate on Emma Stone too now? Because
no,
I said
no. Emma didn't do any controversial things in the reality television world like Tom did. No, but I completely agree. I just, it's so. I hope to watch kind of more, and maybe we'll do this throughout, obviously, this podcast, but really kind of dive into a lot of Lacey's movies because she does do so many. I'd be curious to count how many she's done since she started with Hallmark. And
I think by the time we get to, maybe episode 500 or so, I think we'll have seen every Lacey Chabert movie. That's my goal.
Oh, okay. You're to do all the Lacey Chabert movies.
Yep. It'll only take us, like 10 years or so.
Should we change the name of this podcast to Channeling Lacey?
Oh my God. What?
Channeling
that's what we
Chabert.
should always do in life. Forget trying to be Ted Lasso. I'm trying to be Lacey Chabert.
Just have chemistry with everyone. I don't know how I feel about
That's
that.
fair. All right. So Keetin,
Yes.
I would love to know what your marshmallow rating for this movie would be.
Now, I will say this. If it was just Lacey and Brennan, it would have a pretty high marking.
Mm-hmm.
But because, and maybe it's a testament to how good these two were at being these two reality stars that I totally hated and was annoyed with. But I would say I'm going to give it 5 marshmallows.
Oh, okay.
5 marshmallows. Also because they decided to have a baby and not get a dog.
That's true. That's always the wrong choice. You
It
should
is.
always get a dog.
What about you?
So I did get some more warm and coziness from this movie than you did. I do think it's kind of one of those movies where I think though Lacey, Brennan, the cinematography, the set design, all of those did a great job of making me feel warm and fuzzy. The movie, the storyline just didn't quite go there for me. And I mean, that's hard to do in a movie that's primarily about a divorce. So I get it. But yeah, it was kind of holding me back from maybe having the marshmallow rating that could have been. But I still think I'll give it 6 marshmallows.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was more on the warm and cozy side for me, but just not quite, not quite as much as some other ones.
That's fair. That's fair. I totally get it.
Well, now that we've talked a lot about Lacey Chabert in a scripted Hallmark movie.
Yes.
Why don't we talk about Lacey Chabert in Hallmark's first ever unscripted reality series?
Yes.
When we come back, we will be talking to Jill Garelick, the executive producer and showrunner of Celebrations with Lacey Chabert, but also who has worked on so many cool titles. We're going to have a lot to talk about.
Absolutely. Stay tuned.
Our guest today is Jill Garelick, an executive producer and showrunner who has been working in the TV business for over 20 years on shows like Tabitha Takes Over, Friendzone, and Celebrations with Lacey Chabert. Jill, you've worked on so many docu-style unscripted shows where you give people a platform who probably aren't used to being celebrated. What about those real stories draws you in and makes you want to share them?
My God, you just give me the chills saying that. Oh my God. No, I love real people and real stories. I think that's the heart of who I am as a person. I love hearing genuine situations that people are in and how they've overcome them, how they've worked with them, how they've transformed an idea in their head into something amazing. So I love working with real people. In a moment in my career, I worked for the TV Guide channel where you interviewed actors and celebrities, and I just felt like they weren't giving me the real, genuine self. And that's why I chose to kind of move over to reality TV.
I love that. Well, you have worked your way up in the industry. You have an incredible resume. But for those who might not know the TV industry well, what exactly is an executive producer or showrunner? What do you do? What kind of are you in charge of now at this level in your career?
I kind of like to say I make things happen. Sometimes people, in the industry have an amazing idea and they don't know how to make it happen. And I get hired to kind of make it happen for them. Whether that's something creatively on paper, whether that's visually, on camera, but I do everything from casting to directing to really embracing the stories that are being told.
So you do have such an extensive resume, and you mentioned a little bit that you've also, you started kind of in the celeb news world, but what has your career journey been like? And did you initially go into TV being like, yes, I want to be an executive producer on reality television shows and unscripted shows, or what has led you to where you are now?
Well, my degree in college was elementary education, to be a teacher. I knew nothing about television growing up. I was not the kid that wanted to be in TV. I had a random person basically say they thought I'd be great as an assistant. And I started at the TV Guide channel and in entertainment news and literally learned my way up. I was very determined after starting at the TV Guide channel to learn everything about every position, take out the trash, do what I needed to do to work my way up as I saw other people doing. And I've been really proud of the accomplishments I've had because I did start at the bottom and kind of work my way up and find out what I wanted to do. But it was definitely not what I grew up wanting to do.
I mean, one of the coolest things I think, when I do look at your career, you kind of came into this industry on the precipice of what we now know as reality TV. That's now just this, phenomenon that's a part of our daily lives and, everybody's water cooler talk. Did you, with reality television, is what led you into that just kind of the real people aspect? Or, was it just oh, this is a jack of all trades type position as a producer in reality TV, and that's what I like to do, so that's why I'm staying here?
No, I just loved working with people. I loved being out in the world and I loved hearing stories. And I think that's like the root of who I am. My friends constantly tell me, like, they call me with all these situations and I help them figure out whatever they need help with. But I feel like the real genuine people that are out there that want to tell their story and that are open to telling their story are what I like to be a part of. And I look at it sometimes as a puzzle because you never know exactly what you're going to get until you start shooting in unscripted. And like that to me is also very entertaining, I guess. Like I tend to not watch reality TV because I would rather be there in person to experience it.
Absolutely.
I love that you basically like started out wanting to do elementary education where it's like wrangling children, and now you're a showrunner where it's wrangling adults. You kind of it's probably very similar skill sets in a lot of ways, really.
I say that all the time. My skill set in college definitely benefited me in my experience now. And the patience level. I feel like with kids you need a lot of patience, and reality TV you also need a lot of patience.
Well, I mean, I feel like you've probably worked with kids a reasonable amount. I mean, I know at least in some of Celebrations there are kids, so you have that skill, and that's really cool. I mean, do you have any kind of like favorite? I mean, this is probably a lot to ask from a 20+ year career, but like any favorite stories or experiences of working with these people that you've had over your career?
I mean, when I worked on Extreme Makeover Home Edition, it was definitely a show that I don't want to say broke me, but really got to the heart of what I wanted to do. And I was only a segment producer on that. I was given segments. I got to work with designers, but my job was to be in the house before they surprised the family. And I was also there when they moved the bus.
Stop.
And that show, I think, showed me what unscripted TV could be without being super dramatic and super, hurtful. And, there's so many entertaining ways to tell a story that are not like fist fights or throwing drinks or like that type of stuff, which nothing against those shows. I still love those shows, but I feel like the type of shows I really enjoy working on are the ones that give back to a community, give back to a family, recognize a person, change a business to do better. Like those are the shows that I really enjoy working on the most.
Extreme Home Makeover Home Edition. We watched it every week as a family, and my mom and I would just cry. It was like your good cry every week when they moved that bus, and you just got to feel their reactions. And I say feel their reactions because you see it, but you felt it every single time they walked into those new homes. And I'm so glad they brought it back because I think we really need TV like that right now. And it's so cool to know that you were one of the reasons that made me and my mom have good cries together every week.
But actually, I think I said my title. I think I was a field producer on that because I did interviews, and like those interviews were the hardest thing I've probably done in my career. Hearing those people tell their emotional stories for hours. Like I'd sit in the chair for like 3 hours with them.
Oh my God. I do have to ask you this, like just as somebody who looks to you and looks at your career, and I'm just like so impressed, and like I'm like, man, like I hope I can do that with my career. Did you find it more difficult? Because I know at least in the last 12 years I've been in the industry, it has become less of a boys club, but it was much more of a boys club 20 years ago. Did you find like that was a difficult kind of hurdle you had to get over just as you were moving your way up?
I do. I mean, I feel like the industry has progressed and changed, and I feel like I can work with a lot of different kinds of people and different personalities, and every show is a different experience. But I ended up now, 20+ years into my career, gravitating towards women showrunners, women company owners, like just because it's kind of who I've created for myself. But in the beginning, I don't think I knew a female showrunner the first 8 years of my career. Like I didn't know one.
I could probably count them on one hand that I've actually like worked with or know. And a lot of them, like I remember when the Time's Up stuff happened and whatnot, like they were just kind of bumped. Oh, we're going to bump up this, person who should have been bumped up years ago just to kind of address this kind of like issue that we're all finally talking about. And yeah, no, it's been really cool over the last, especially 5 years, seeing how many women have started their own companies, how many women are kind of leading these TV shows, and also the tone of television and how it's changed because women have been given these kind of seats of like decision-making positions and, you know, creating kind of these beautiful stories. I don't know, when you're doing emotional stuff, like I think sometimes it's easier to talk to a woman than a guy. I don't know. Maybe that's just me. How do you feel as a guy?
I mean, I will say I do think, especially hearing it from your perspective of like the reason that you work in this business is to tell these inspirational stories rather than the kind of the worst side of reality TV, which, yes, I too do kind of love those things sometimes. But I also love to watch TV and feel optimistic and hopeful about the world. And I love that that's your goal. I feel like this is maybe a little personal story here, but when I came out to LA, I started working on camera in a lot of reality TV shows and left the industry to go work in marketing because I got tired of working in a lot of really like what felt like manipulative reality shows. But it feels like you are using that platform to make the world a better place instead of, letting the drama unfold. So thank you for that. That's not a question. That's just a thank you, really.
Of course. Well, it's funny when you said like the female versus male situation, like it's interesting because like my husband and I will watch American Idol and I am in it for the background stories. I love to hear like how they started, where they're from. My husband just wants to hear the song, and so that's like the perfect, dynamic of what, I don't know. That's just
No, I think that's such a great example because I even think, I mean, they're like with a lot of reality competition shows, which are some of my favorite and what kind of brought me into loving reality. It's like you didn't like it when those all first started. It was a lot of almost like docu style. You're seeing their experience, you're learning their stories, and then it focused just on the competition. And now it's coming back again where we're getting the background of these people. And I find that like it's so much easier to root for someone when you know where they came from and what their story is. Whoever does those packages on American Idol, they are great. Those backstory packages make me cry. Like they're so good.
And they're so interesting and so diverse.
Yes.
Like to me, I look at that when I'm casting a show or looking at like the cast coming into even this coming season of Celebrations, the more diversity that you have in it in telling the different types of stories, the more intriguing the episode becomes and the viewer is watching every episode.
Yes.
It's not the same story.
Yeah. Absolutely. And more people are seeing themselves or will start be able to feel like they can see themselves on TV and want to come out and tell their stories. It's like the more representation, the better. Yeah. And it's just going to allow more stories to be told.
Yeah. And transitioning
I was going to say, I was like, you take this one.
To Celebrations. I mean, you have done exactly what you just talked about is your goal. You have brought to life in Celebrations with Lacey Chabert on Hallmark. And I know you've been renewed for a season 2, but we don't want any spoilers. We like to be surprised over here. But looking back at season 1, I guess, are there any favorite memories or experiences or just really like moving moments you have from that?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'll start by saying that, I had a difficult task. We were the first unscripted show for Hallmark. And not only did we have to kind of navigate a world that was very scripted, we had to navigate a world and an audience that loves movies and programming a specific way. Yeah. And, going into that first season, I really feel like I wasn't a Hallmark fan. Like I didn't know the programming. I didn't, I wanted a job. I loved Lacey. Like I didn't know what I was getting into. I did the season. I worked with Hallmark. Every time that hero walked into a celebration, it was, I mean, if I wasn't crying in a control room, like I felt like we had to do it again. Like, and that didn't happen. We had, the kids were a little bit difficult, but other than that, the emotion behind that season was so important for the Hallmark audience and they loved it, and that's why we are back for a season 2. Yay. But, it's what these heroes do is so remarkable for their community and a lot of them didn't want to be celebrated. a lot of them were like, no, this is my team that does this. This is, they were constantly pushing back. Like one girl didn't want to show up because she was like, it's my team. I'm going to have everybody come with me to do the interview because they think they're going to do an interview for a documentary and they're actually there for a surprise party for themselves. So we had one hero specifically that was like, no, it's not about me. Like, I'm going to bring my team with me, or I'm going to bring my, the partner that created this with me or whatever. And, we had one hero that like almost didn't show up because she was like, I need to bring everybody with me. And, but it was a really special way to kind of tell stories through the Hallmark eyes because it's not about the fights or the drink. It's about celebrating people.
I love that. I have to ask you, just like as a producer too, I know I love surprises on TV. I love watching them happen. I like being in on them. But producing them is one of the most stressful things. And also, especially when you're working with having worked in so many human interest stories, you're working with these lovely human beings that all you're like, it's going to be worth it, but I'm going to have to lie to you like in your head. How have you kind of made peace with that? Because I still struggle with that as a producer because I'm always like, I'm so sorry I lied, but isn't it exciting? You just got $10,000. How have you kind of come to terms with that?
Well, it's funny. So the producer that works with the hero day to day, we only keep it one person because if it's anybody else, it gets complicated.
Yep.
And I would say out of our 10 episodes of the first season, 8 of them, they walked in the room and they were like, so-and-so, why did you keep that a secret? Like in the middle of our surprise, which obviously we cut around, but like I make peace with it because in the end, it really is worth it. And Hallmark makes a wonderful donation to each, charity and nonprofit, and it really benefits them. A lot of the smaller ones have never seen that kind of funding before.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
It's so Hallmark, and it's so funny to me that this is the first unscripted Hallmark series because it just seems like it's the perfect thing for Hallmark to present. Like
right.
It's wild.
I mean, it's the feel good channel, and what's better than real life feel good stories?
Yeah.
So.
And I have to ask too, because obviously it's their first unscripted series, and you have the queen of Hallmark, essentially, Lacey Chabert, as your host. What has it been like working with her and also kind of guiding her as a showrunner executive producer into the unscripted world?
Look, it took guiding. She is first and foremost, Lacey is exactly who she says. She is kind, she's warm, she's smart, and she was nervous. She was really nervous coming into our first season. And, it was a lot of making sure she knew I had her back, making sure she knew we weren't live, and, she's very used to a controlled environment.
Mm-hmm.
And in unscripted, as you guys know, you've been there, it's not always controlled. I don't know what the reaction's going to be. I don't know if the best friend is going to say something that is inappropriate. I don't know if, an art project doesn't work. Like, we run with it. And I would say by the end of week 2 of filming the first season, she was in it with me. She was like, we're going to make it happen together. She was, such a blessing to have as a partner in this. It's believe me, I've been on shows where it's not that situation. I could, without saying a name, I've gotten a stapler thrown at me. I have gotten chairs. I have gotten screaming matches. I have been left at an airport. Like, there are plenty of stories that I could tell. I know this is channeling Hallmark, so I'm not going to go there. But Lacey is a dream to work with. And just everything you read in the media about her is genuinely true. She just is also supportive of the crew. I try and keep a really positive environment. We're doing a positive show, and she just jumped right in and was a part of it.
How, I guess, and this is just, how are your kind of like shooting schedules for the show like this? I know a lot of times with reality, if you're filming over a long period of time or you're filming multiple episodes at once, like, is this a pretty like, I guess, like one episode at a time type shoot? Or is this kind of you guys are doing everything in real time. And so following like 3 different stories with the different producer attached to each different story as every single day, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, we have 3 days to shoot the episode. One of those days is a celebration.
Wow.
And so really it's 2 days to shoot an episode. Most of the time it's in fairly chronological order. But usually we film 2 episodes over a 2-week period.
Got it.
So, if sometimes people availability or work or, whatever comes up. But for the most part, we shoot, out of the 3 days, there's additional interview days and additional like B-roll days and studio days are different, but like it's really 3 days an episode.
Wow. That's what a tight schedule. You must have like an incredible team that you guys are turning that stuff out. Like you guys, people don't know.
We do like 3 locations a day a lot of time. 3 locations a day.
Oh my God.
And LA traffic is never our friend.
No. New setups, no fun.
Right.
Like company moves, no fun.
Yeah.
But, and for you to continue a positive set and still kind of make these amazing things happen, like that's just testament to you and your team that you've created and Lacey and I guess continuing the Hallmark brand through the work you guys do, which is really awesome.
Yeah, and I will say, not to tease the second season, but the stories season 1 were very heartfelt. They were very special. Season 2 is off the charts. Like the emotion, the heroes, like they've overcome something and they are surprised and truly the organizations that we've selected this coming season are very, very special. And the heroes are just incredible. And the diversity is really, really amazing.
I love that.
I'm so excited to watch.
Me too. So I guess my last question, and you've kind of answered this a little bit, but what does it mean to you to share these stories of hope and optimism with the world through this show?
I feel like it means everything to me. I feel like, our world, there's so much chaos that happens every day, personally and in the world and in everywhere. And I think sharing moments of hope hopefully inspire other people to do good things, and some of our organizations, you can give back in a super small way, and some are bigger ways, but being able to tell a positive story that gives it time to breathe. Like it's not a news story on the local news at night for, a minute 30. It's, 42 minutes of programming about an organization and a hero that has basically dedicated their life to a cause or a community. And I think that being able to tell that story is amazing. I mean, I don't even know the words to describe it. I mean, I feel really lucky. This industry is rough right now. And last year was rough. I mean, it was a rough year. And being able to be on a show that does give back and not compromising like personal thoughts, like is amazing.
That's awesome.
I mean, I love hearing from you that like your goal is to share these stories of hope. You talk about how the crew and everybody has that warm environment. I mean, you're on the Hallmark Channel. It feels like you are an embodiment of try to make the world a better place with what you do, and you can still be successful and have a great career. It's not like you have to compromise your values to achieve this. And I love seeing you as an example of that.
Thank you. I just hope the work keeps coming, right?
Right? Yes. Let's make sure it does.
Absolutely.
In that vein of, warm and fuzzy and hopeful things, one thing we do on this show is share what we call our hot cocoa, which can be any experience that we've had or some kind of tidbit of information that we learned that gave us a little bit of feeling of optimism and warm and fuzziness. So would love to hear if you have any hot cocoa that you would be up for sharing.
Absolutely. So my son is in Little League, and is very obsessed with baseball. Not something that I grew up with, but my husband's family all about baseball.
Oh.
And, we're big Dodger fans, and recently I've been obsessing over Shohei Ohtani. Yep. And I just saw a reel on, I think it was Instagram or something, where he was like playing pranks on his teammates. And it was so lighthearted and so sweet and so genuine. He's a fairly young player. And he would just, it's a really sweet reel about like him poking somebody or like teasing them or like whatever. And it just made me smile because I think of my son doing this with his kids on his team. And I just think it's the sweetest, every reel that you watch about like little league games and the age is legit happening. Like talk about real moments. Like, I'm a team parent also. And the dugout is the most hilarious place I think I've ever been in my entire life. Anyways, that's my warm and fuzzy because it's just innocence. And I think that, being on the Dodgers is nothing because he's just showing some innocence also.
Hey, we're all just kids deep down inside.
We're all kids just wanting to crack jokes and make people feel warm and fuzzy. I love that. Well, hopefully we can manifest maybe like a celebration with the Dodgers in the future that you get to be a part of. And then maybe your son gets to like come and be a part of.
They almost worked with us last season. So I'm hopeful. We do have another team this season, which I can't disclose, but we do have another team that was participating this season. That was pretty awesome.
It's very exciting. Well, it's only, they're only going to get bigger from here because if season 2 is bigger than what you said season 1 is and is even more heartfelt, I can't imagine there not being a season 3, 4, and hopefully for many more years to come.
Yeah.
Me too. Fingers crossed.
Well, is there anything? So, obviously we would love you to plug. When can we expect season 2? When can we watch season 1 again? What is coming up when it comes to all your projects?
Yeah, so it's looking like early fall, like early September, season 2 will come out. I do think they're going to rebroadcast season 1 around the same time leading up to season 2. But I would say early fall is we don't have an exact date just yet, but it's season 2 is coming out early fall. We're mid-edit right now.
Amazing.
And in the meantime, you can watch season 1 on Hallmark Plus. That's where I've been watching it. So
you can, I should say that. It is on Hallmark Plus also.
Yeah. And if people want to kind of follow your career, is there any like social media we can follow?
You can follow me on Instagram.
There we go.
JillG526.
Amazing. We will follow you on Instagram and we will follow the Hallmark channel so that we can get all the updates.
And I would say you can also follow Lacey. We got some really fun behind the scenes stuff this season.
Oh, cool.
So I'm hoping that she gets to put that on her social. And you may see a cameo or 2.
Perfect. Love it.
For people who are listening who might want to go down the same path that you have gone down and telling stories of hope and kindness, what is your recommendation to people who want to focus on kind of the happier side of real life TV?
I really think it's about networking in this industry. And I feel like, it's Keetin, I'd say how we met, like it really is about networking and really honing people in that you admire their careers and reaching out. I mean, 98% of the time I will respond to every email that's sent to me just out of respect for their hard work to kind of, reach out. And I think that you just have to find people that you admire their careers for so that you can reach out and kind of ask the questions.
Yeah. Jill, you're one of the good ones. You're one of the real good ones. I wish there were more EPs and showrunners like you, and I hope that you help kind of pave the way for that just mindset and kindness.
Thank you so much for coming on. This has been an amazing insights that you shared, and it's made me feel hopeful about the future. So thanks for doing that.
Yeah, for sure.
Glad to be here. Love what you guys are doing.
Oh, thank you.
That was our conversation with Jill Garelick, and that was episode 19 of Channeling Hallmark. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any episodes, and also, leave a rating and a review. Hop onto your favorite podcast player, maybe whatever you're listening to right now. Just leave us a little note. We'd love to hear from you.
Let us know maybe what your favorite Lacey Chabert movie is, and we might add that to our watch list.
Yeah, we're always looking for that next watch, so let us know if you have any strong feelings about anything, or even just kind of like mildly strong feelings.
Yeah, warm and cozy feelings about something. We
Just
always love to hear it. You can also follow us across all social media platforms at Channeling Hallmark. We're on Instagram, YouTube, Blue Sky, and you can also follow our individual Instagrams at Keetin Markey and at DB Cashbaugh. And you can also follow Dylan on Letterboxd.
That's true. I do watch other movies. like the Hearts Around the Table series. And also, we may have gone to see a movie together this week that was fine and left a review on Letterboxd for that. And
It was
on
not
Letterboxd,
fine.
It was fine.
It was not fine.
You know,
I will never get that time back.
You'll never know what Keetin thought because she doesn't have a Letterboxd, unlike me, where my Letterboxd handle is @DPCashpaw. And we appreciate all of you for listening and hope that you all don't forget to channel Hallmark in your life.
Stay cozy, y'all. Bye-bye.
Channeling Hallmark is an independently produced podcast and is neither sponsored nor sanctioned by Hallmark or any other entity. Thank you for listening.